Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. If you haven't picked up the new Fangoria, guest editor Brian Fuller, Bibbs wrote like what, 4 articles?
Four articles in this, and Dave White
Yes,
has a great article in it.
writes about a movie that still gives him nightmares. You'll be surprised. You'll never guess which one. Anyway, wow. Okay, so here we are at the end of Hannibal.
Yes.
The last 2 episodes, the number of the beast is 666,
Yeah.
and the Return of the Lamb.
The Wrath of the Lamb.
The Wrath of the Lamb. Thank you.
The Wrath of the Lamb.
So, golly, where
feel about this? What do you
where
think?
to begin? I don't even know. One thing that struck me on both of these episodes was that of all the analysts in all the world, Will is talking to Bedelia.
Well, he can be honest with Bedelia.
I guess
There's no one else. Like, Bedelia has more to hide than Will does.
I just thought, like, why not Alana at least? You know,
I think, I'm not sure Lana and his interests align.
Oh, I
anymore.
guess.
It isn't, but it also just fits.
Sure.
Because Will can be I don't even know what, I'm trying to think of diplomatic word.
a handful.
A handful, yeah, exactly. But it's just people. He's attracted to danger. Let's be honest. He's attracted to that sort of very dangerous mindset, and he honestly he seems to get off on it, whether he's willing to admit it or not.
Well, yeah, clearly, I think there is something sort of, I don't know. I don't want to throw around the word pathological, but definitely he does keep putting himself in these same situations over and over again.
Yeah.
Where it's one thing when you're the profiler guy, but it's another one when you get that when you cross over into the actual,
Well, you look at the relationship, and they finally just outright say it.
Sure.
In these episodes, just is Hannibal in love with me? Like, yes. Yes, that's
and
really
yes.
obvious. This whole storyline really has been from the beginning about essentially a really fucked up love affair, a really passionate,
Sure.
very genuine, but also extremely unhealthy love affair. And the fact
nobody
that
understands me like you do.
well, like you look at it like he gave up on Hannibal, and that fine. He's got his life together. He's got this wonderful girlfriend, and then the second he gets a chance, he goes back.
Sure.
And then if he's gonna cheat on him with anyone else, he's gonna cheat on him with Bedelia,
True.
like another monster. Like,
Well, and with there's also that whole thing of like, did he talk about me?
Yeah.
They can both obsess over their ex.
yeah, no, exactly. I mean, one of my favorite lines of this entire show is when Hannibal told Will at the beginning of the second half of the season, "I give you a child if you'll recall," and it's just like, yeah, you did, you sick little bastard. Oh, you bastard. So we'll talk. Let's save the finale.
Sure.
for a moment. We need to talk about the incredibly clever bit with Frederick Chilton.
Yes. Setting him up basically as the bait for Dollarhide.
Right. Now, that is an adaptation of something that happened in the book Red Dragon and in both Manhunter and the movie Red Dragon, except it happened to Freddie Lounds. Freddie Lounds was used as the bait, and they didn't expect Freddie Lounds to get murdered.
Right.
Freddie Lounds just died.
I see.
In the other versions. But here it's like we kind of knew it was coming, and then they even played with the way Freddie died in when they faked her death in season 2.
Oh, right.
And so I was kind of waiting with bated breath, like, how are they going to? Are they just going to do it again? And they did it with Frederick Chilton, and it is so much better.
Yeah.
Because we spend so much more time with Frederick Chilton,
Sure.
acknowledging what a dipshit he is. And we spend so much more time with Freddie, and I think we've come to respect Freddie. Even when she's a terrible person, she's consistent. and
She's
good at her job.
consistent and she's clear about her goals, whereas Chilton is not that different from Freddie, but couches it in this sort of academic, medical establishment kind of thing when he is as craven a publicity hunter as she is.
He's an enormous hypocrite, and I love to hate Chilton.
Yeah, it's great. No, it definitely. And Raul Esparza has, I think, been a lot of fun to watch suffer. It was weird though, because when Dollarhide bites his lips off, it was like, oh wow, they did that on Fear the Walking Dead this week too. In the pilot, which aired the same week. I was like, all right, 3 and it's a trend.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss his ability to use the letter B, because when he wrote down, when he was like, but this is quantifiably bitchy. Loved that. That's his great apex moment. on the show. But it was a great scene. God knows Richard Armitage sold the hell out of that scene.
Oh,
That's
no
a great
kidding.
Scene. But the extremely clever bit was when Reba comes in, and it becomes a farce for a minute. It's so ludicrous that what's going on that she doesn't know, and the fact that he doesn't say anything. Like it actually like. I almost respected Chilton because Chilton could have said, "No, don't!" Like some last-ditch, self-serving attempt to save himself. He saved her.
Yes.
So he's not. It's interesting because as much of a dick as he is, he's not evil.
No.
That's the interesting thing about Chilton. Like we love Hannibal and we hate Chilton, and Chilton's the one who wouldn't get anyone killed.
Right, yeah. Like, you need to kind of draw your lines on this show. But like, well, he's a dick, sure, but he's not, actually out there killing people. Although, and not to ascribe superpowers to the blind, but don't we think that Reba would have noticed somebody else breathing in the room?
Possibly. I don't know. Like there's.
I'm nitpicking.
No,
I just was,
You can nitpick all kinds of things. Like they finally had like a sketch in the second to last episode, Number of the Beast 666, and it's fucking Dollarhide. Look at it, and then they know that Reba is, they know that there's someone out there named Reba.
Right.
They see on the video that he has an incredibly distinctive tattoo.
Oh, yes, true.
They could have put the word out there, and then they find out that from Chilton at the end that Reba is blind and black.
Right.
There could only be so many blind
the
black
database
women
would
named
narrow
Reba.
that down, I think.
And we know that she's in like a database because she used to work at a system for the blind and everything like that.
Right.
It would not be too hard to track her down and then say, hey, got a picture of your boyfriend? Like that would be. Well, I guess maybe she wouldn't.
you wouldn't.
But like people would know. Like
nonetheless. We can let these things go.
Hannibal has never been a great procedural. It's been a fun procedural, but the procedure has never been the most important thing.
Sure, yeah. I mean, just when you look at some of those season 1 kills, you're like, oh, in a day you created this? Like, you planted a tree inside somebody's sternum? I mean, come on.
That
but yeah, we let that go. It's totally, it's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, now, so then of course we come roaring into the finale, which at some point we will have Brian back in the studio, maybe when the DVD comes out.
Yeah, he's very busy right now.
Yes, he's got things. You have to wonder. And I think this is probably a thing for a lot of modern TV, and unless you have the luxury of knowing, we've already been picked up, do you have to craft each season finale as though it were the series finale?
That's an excellent question, and I've heard different philosophies on that. I know
because God knows the season 2 finale was like, ha-ha, we dare you not to bring us back.
Basically, but they also said they would have been fine with it. Joss Whedon once argued that every season finale should also operate as a series finale because you never know.
Sure.
But then again, he had notoriously bad luck in television.
As does Brian,
As does Brian Fuller. Yeah, it's amazing Hannibal lasted as long as it has.
Sure.
But I will say this. This feels like a very natural place to drop off on Hannibal. There are places you can go. He's talked a little bit about like where he wanted the series to go. I have an interview with him at Grave Online where he talks about the Silence of the Lambs season that will probably never happen. Thank you. So this could have gone on, and there's definitely very clear indications it does end with a sort of they're fine. Will has a place setting. They're all okay. But this does have it ends in this incredibly. I can't think of a great Gothic literature novel that like ends on something similar. I want to say like Wuthering Heights or Testament D'Urbervilles, but I can't think of a literal one where this.
Well, I mean, Wuthering Heights literally does kind of end with Heathcliff chasing Kathy's ghost off of the moors, as I recall.
There you go. So it's a Wuthering Heights kind of thing. It's just this.
The sea crashing below.
It's so in your face, and that's so Hannibal. Like that's so Hannibal.
That's so Hannibal. Disney Channel.
Spin-off. Awesome. But no, it is romantic, and it is tragic, and it is honest. It feels right. It feels a little rushed, but I find most season finales do for me.
It is both over the top and completely believable in terms of the characters, which is what this show has always been about.
Yeah. But I don't know. I find that with most series finales, it just seems like I want more. I want there to feel like this epic, definitive finale, and oftentimes it's just not practical.
Sure, and I think shows usually either end with like the grand gesture or with the life goes on, and those are kind of your choices.
I always like, especially with the show I've been loving for a while. I love the epic finale that gives you a satisfying conclusion to every character, like the end of The Wire or 6 Feet Under.
6 Feet Under, that just celebrated its 10th anniversary, and I still fucking cry at that clip every time I watch it.
The series finale of 6 Feet Under is holy shit. Yeah. Like, it's such an incredible. Like, I don't think we needed that for Hannibal. I think Hannibal works best with. Yeah, but the horror will continue.
Sure, an air of mystery, and it's interesting the way when you mentioned the place setting, because I mean let's talk a little about that last shot of Bedelia. I mean, part of it could be that yes, they survived, and this is what's happening to her, and she's got the table set for the two of them. Part of me was thinking she is gone Miss Havisham and thinks they're coming back, and has set a table for them anyway, and has sacrificed her own leg for that, in the hopes that they're going to come walking in the door.
You're not the only person I've seen who had that reaction. I'm actually surprised at how divisive that finale is, because I've seen it really 50-50.
Sure.
Where people, and I think anytime there's some sort of ambiguous ending, it's really a litmus test for who you are as a person, or at least who you reacted to.
And I'm not saying that's the only reading or the definitive reading. But it's a reading.
It is a reading, but that's what you chose to go with, even though I think all the evidence points to them being alive.
Sure.
But there's an element of ambiguity, and it's just a matter of, at the end of Pan's Labyrinth, was it all magical or was it all sad? At the end of The Wrestler, is he alive? Is he dead?
Right.
Like, it all depends on, and sometimes it depends on the story. Sometimes I'm very optimistic, sometimes I'm very pessimistic. It depends on what I think fits the story.
I have allowed the NBC executives to determine my read on the ending, perhaps. But no, you're right. It could go either way.
It could go either way. I like it better with them living on, murder husbands forever.
Oh, yeah, for life.
But yeah, no, I'm trying to think if there's anything we want to talk about, wrap up one last time.
That the whole sort of jailbreak Dollarhide thing was amazing. The fact that the words "dropping the mic" came out of Hannibal's mouth was a moment to remember.
And that was a great mic, because a part of me was just like, is Will just saying that? Because I'll bet he's just saying that. I honestly bet that was not his plan from the beginning of season 3. Like, that was, come on, seriously, that's just, but what a mic drop, though. And then the great metaphor of just like, and he had to come right back and pick it up. Like a fucking putz. That was great. That was such a Hannibal has been an incredible television experience.
Yes.
For all of its highs, for all of its lows, whether you loved it all the way through or took issue with parts of it, this is a show that really stands out. And I think it's going to be a show that people are still talking about and referencing. I think it's going to be influencing storytellers for many years
the
to come.
Storytelling, but also just the craft of this show, the look of it and the music and the costumes and the, just the this is my design, the fucking design of this show. I think this is one of the most beautifully art-directed series programs on network television ever.
I think this might be the best art production design, whatever you want to call it. I can't think of a better one.
Yeah, I mean, bar has been raised. I think that shows are now going to have to aspire to this level of craft when they want to be this sort of visually expressive.
It was interesting. I've been talking to people before I started doing these recaps with you about how great Hannibal was for a while. And because it didn't get very high ratings, I was often accused of just saying, well, how much did they pay you? Yeah. And I'm like, first off, fuck off. Basically, fuck off. Like, everything that's good gets high ratings.
Yes.
That's a lie. A lot of the best and most influential shows ever weren't huge hits when they came out. Same thing with movies.
Yeah.
They weren't huge hits. They find an audience eventually. There you go. I think Hannibal is going to be one of them. But this is one of those shows that I think people who care about great television found or will find and will gravitate to. Eventually they'll say, I finally got around to watching Hannibal. Holy shit.
Right, exactly. And for somebody like me who's not a big genre person, I was still completely into it. And I would like to think that people who maybe shied away from it because they thought, it's going to be like serial killer show or, like a TV version of a serial killer show, whatever. I think they'll be pleasantly surprised either how literate it is or, frankly, how gory they got away with being as an NBC show.
Well, that was my thing. It's like I've never really gravitated towards shows like Criminal Minds or CSI, and because for me, it's way too much about the people who were just solving the crimes, and it never really got me into the heads of any of the characters too much. And Hannibal was
this show's all that.
It's all about delving and diving headfirst into someone's really troubled mind.
Totally.
And living there and getting you used to it to the point where hallucinatory, crazy shit can happen every week, and you don't even bat an eye anymore. It's just like, and there's a giant Wendigo god, like, is in this room most of the time. Why not?
Let's look for the antlers this episode.
I know people who've tried to like jump into the show in the middle or watch an episode in the middle and just like, I don't get it. You're not. Yeah. You need to ease into it. You don't just like jump into like the 500th day of therapy.
Right.
You know, like yeah. Anyway.
You don't open a novel to the middle. All right.
One of the best.
Totally.
One of the best shows.
So kudos to everyone involved. Thank you guys for taking this ride with us. And you know, Hannibal, we hardly knew you. Thank you.